Welcome to another episode of Music Therapy and Motivation. Here's where we delve into the hearts, minds, and soul of music. We're going to explore stories and inspirations behind the scenes of the songs that move us. I am your host, Gino Black, and today we are thrilled to have a special guest who has been making some waves in the R&B and soul scene. He's captivated audiences with his hits like Violets, Cruisin', and even the collaboration with the hip-hop artist Black North called Everywhere. The Thanksgiving release of Perfect Recipe. It was perfect. Food for the soul, music for the soul. Today, we are celebrating the release of his latest single called Alone. All right. Welcome to the show. We got old June in the building. Thanks for showing up today, my brother. I appreciate your time. Congratulations on the release of Alone, man. Congratulations. That record is exceptional. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, you were there when I started writing some of it, being a producer and a mixer of the project. So, like most of my songs, it's about real life. So, it's relationships are convoluted. You know, I've been in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship for a long time now. I've been married for a while. So, um, sometimes you feel like you can't you can't solve it unless you get that face to face contact. Text message ain't gonna do it.
Right.
A telephone call is not going to do it. We need to be in person. We need to talk face to face. I need to see your emotion and feel your emotion. And
Yeah.
so that's what I was kind of that yearning to be in the same place to make it right.
That
Uh,
in-person energy.
yeah, in
Yeah.
person. Some conversations you just can't have it, even outside of a romantic relationship. You can't have that conversation
Right.
over the phone or in text message. We live in a world where it's really that's where it's leaning towards, and there's nothing wrong
Mm.
with that. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Sometimes it makes things a little bit easier, but sometimes it's a cop out. Sometimes you need that in person conversation so that you can actually
100%.
understand the person. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And as far as like the inspiration behind it is, I understand that too. Being a married man, um, you do need that closeness. You need that in your companion, whether you're married or single. I get that, and I think that's why the song is resonating with a lot of people. You
yeah,
tapped in. You tapped in. There's a lot of times you hear people say, I'm alone or I'm lonely, and there's a difference between being alone and lonely. But I think this song kind of taps into both a little bit.
hmm
It taps into both
yeah,
because you're missing your partner, right?
for sure,
Your
for
partner
sure.
is missing you, and
Yeah,
like you say, you just need that closeness. You need that intimacy, and not necessarily sex, just intimacy, that
right.
closeness, that communication, conversation. That's what I get from the
Yeah,
lyrics when I play it back 1,000 times. You dig? But
yeah, for sure. That's
the
exactly it.
the concept is brilliant to me. And for full disclosure, we were there from the very beginning, and that was back in April, I believe.
Yeah,
Uh, and it was a track that was actually laying around, and you caught a vibe from it, and I think it's turned out beautifully, bro. The process of putting it together, I think people will want to know how that went about, because for me this was a little bit different with the distance and the timing and
yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
schedule. Just full disclosure again, me and Ojun work together.
yeah.
So it's you think about the process behind it. Starting in April, tell me about from the time you got the track, let's just call it the skeleton of the track,
Yeah.
from me, and then we laid some little scratch vocals, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ari Martin, who's at Ari's house, and then I saw your brain kicking in, the
Yeah.
mechanisms and stuff start turning, and then you took it with, and you came back with some stuff. Tell me a little bit about that between that inception and now.
Well, so it definitely took place over at shout out Ari Martin, excellent producer, rising coming up. We was over at his spot. We was just listening to some tracks and just trying to catch a vibe. And I had a cold that day,
Mm-hmm.
as well. But and sometimes you get a cold and you ain't feeling good. But it was something about the track. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have said to me one thing that they like about me and my music is that I know how to pick a good track. I know how to pick a beat or a track or help create a track that is pleasing to the ear and catchy to the ear. So when I
Mm-hmm.
heard that, it was like something I had heard in person from anybody. So it was I work with quite a few producers, but it was something I haven't heard as far as like there's a sample. I'm using the sample. One of my major influences is probably Kanye West, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That whole vibe because he uses soul samples, and
Right.
so I felt the sample on there, and you know you guys have heard it by now, but the sample was tough, and I like the beat, and I like the way that it was kind of laid back. It kind of reminded me of some West Coast um, Terrence Martin kind of a vibe.
Yeah,
Now there,
I love Terrace.
Love Terrence Martin, Alex Isley. It seems like something that they would be on the
Yeah.
track, or a Lucky Day, or even a Masego track. Not to
But
compliment
all of
them.
those people, I love all those
Yeah,
people. Shout out to all of them. We vibing
yeah,
on that.
they're huge influences for
Yeah.
me, with just stuff that I like. And so I was like, man, this is catchy. So I wanted to vibe off of the Alone track. So when I heard it, I started automatically thinking about my own personal relationship. My wife, she travels a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going through some different things, but we weren't in the same space. She'd be gone for 3 or 4 days, or even a week, and it just wouldn't get resolved through the telephone. It wouldn't get resolved over FaceTime.
Right.
So that's what started. So I started singing the melody, and me being having a cold that night, I really only got maybe the first verse down, but I know I wanted a pause right at the top.
Right.
Um, so we had talked about that, and you know, you started arranging how
Mm-hmm.
you wanted the track, the form of the track, and stopping
Right.
and giving a little breath. So then I took the track home with me, and I kind of let it breathe for a little bit, just to because sometimes being a writer, at least for me, writing a second verse is one of the hardest things ever to me.
Yes.
It's really difficult. I don't know why, but maybe
It
it's
it 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 is not to hijack it real quick, but I literally have 3 tracks now, and the second verse is just I'm
it's
just
just
yeah, yeah. Everything else is
right,
arranged out, but the second
right.
verse is just not there. So I understand that, but continue.
Yeah, because you feel like I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I get stumped because I don't want to overspeak, but I also want to make sure I'm telling the story right. You start overthinking when you get to the second verse. The first verse usually
Yes.
flows. So the first half of the first verse I had it, but I did not have a pre-chorus. So I have a home studio set up,
Hmm.
and I started. Um, we had met one time, and you kind of helped me with some of the arrangement,
Right.
with what I wanted to actually put down. I had the melodic piece, but just the arranging and the phrasing of
Hmm.
the words. So very important because I wanted it to be catchy, and this song is different than any song I've put out already.
Right.
It has a different feel to it, so I wanted to be respectful of that, but I also wanted to put myself into it. So when I got back home after we had met, I wanted to continue recording it, and I probably recorded the song maybe 15 times. That's just
Yeah,
me.
I got a few of those takes. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
a
yeah.
few of
You
those
got a
takes.
few of
Yeah.
those takes, like at least
Yeah.
15 times.
Yeah.
What I usually started with was, and what I usually start with is the backgrounds. So those oohs and ahs, or I
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily say oohs and ahs, but those parts in the background, those melodic parts, I laid down
Right.
first. And I'm a big fan of stacking harmony. So I did that, and then I wanted to make sure the song was structured out. So me, because I had the form now, I had a
Hmm.
pre-chorus and a form. And so I sent that back to you, and you got it back to me real fast. But I was able to lay down those backgrounds. So then I finished up the first verse, and then I added the pre-chorus. And I
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that it was not only a sultry feel as far as the vocal, but it had the inflection of the emotion that I wanted to get out in it.
Right.
That's why I re-recorded it so many times.
Okay.
It needed
Hey,
to make
it
sense.
I understand the process. When you were working it out, and then and I kind of know how you work out songs now, even though I didn't mix some
Yeah.
of the other stuff. I do want to talk about those too. I kind of have understood your process through this process. So
Mm-hmm.
what I really like though is it's important for you tonally,
Yeah.
far as your vocal tone.
Yeah.
People compliment that all the time, by the way. When I talk to people about your music and stuff, they compliment your tone, your voice, and just it's just like butter. That's I said to quote somebody actually say it's like butter.
Appreciate it.
Um, when you are recording, just in general, alone and whatnot, when you're recording, just like you were talking about the writing of the second verse, do you find that with songs like this, especially such intimate music that you make, do you find that you have to step away from the recording process sometimes to get back into the right mood? Or tell me about that.
Yeah, I do have to do that. It takes me a little while longer sometimes, and I'm trying to streamline it, but I also want to respect my process.
Hmm.
But it sometimes have to step away for an hour or so. Like I'll record the first half, and then when I'm feeling like I'm pushing too much, or I'm feeling like I'm trying to do too much,
Force it.
or yeah, forcing it, I got
Hmm.
to take a break, and I'll take a half hour, go get me some water or something like that, and then I come back and I try to read something, or I try to sit and reflect before I
Right,
record the next
right,
part because I
right.
want to be back in. These songs are snapshots of moments in time
Correct,
of
correct.
different situations. So I want to make sure that I'm there. It's almost like an actor having to get into
Into character.
character.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I have to get into character when I do that. So
That's
that
that's why I asked about that. That's
yeah,
kind of how I judge those who are simply, I don't know, performers versus
mhm,
artists. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? That's the artistic quality about you that I love so much. Is you're a performer, yes, you're great on stage, you got personality, but also you're an artist. You're really, really specific and really, really pure about your process. And
yeah,
that, thank you for sharing that with some of the people that would be tuning in, listening on the podcast or
yeah,
on YouTube. It's a process. Also, in addition to that track, you working the vocals out, you working the arrangement out, us going back and forth saying it, whether I was in Cincinnati or whether I was in Miami, we were still kind of in touch. Tell me
yeah.
also about some of the other talented brothers that participated in this track. We got Trent Becknell, and then we got Antoine Franklin, correct?
Yeah, Trent Bagnell, Antoine Franklin. I wouldn't call them just my some people I go to as musicians, but they're brothers and friends. But I had reached out to you and I said, "Hey, what do you think about putting some live instrumentation on there
Mm-hmm.
to add?" So Trent is a producer. We're actually working on a whole bunch of tracks, and including you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just getting it all formed up and shaped up. But Trent is an excellent multi instrumentalist. He plays the keys, he plays a guitar, he plays a bass, and so I sent it to him. I said, "Just put on there what you want." First off, I don't want to direct you. I want you to feel free because I respect you anyway, your musicianship. So I gave it to him. He sent it back, and I'm like, oh man, it's good. It even has some glitches in there. And the thing I like
Yeah,
about Trent is his mistakes sound better
that's my
than
point. That's what I
yeah.
was getting
I
to.
love mistakes because
I
it sounds
love
real
what
good.
he did on that track. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because mistakes can be beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
Those little
They're the
elements in
most
there. Yeah.
beautiful thing there is as far as expression is the
Hmm.
mistakes, not the perfection. Like that's why I'm not huge on auto tune 100% or AI because
Right.
I want some of those different imperfections in there. Even quantizing tracks, and I may be getting down into the
Right.
weeds. I'm not huge on quantizing drums or getting them
You
specifically
want
lined
them to
up.
have a natural flow, a natural human
Yeah,
flow.
I want it to sound like a
Yeah.
human touch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
even Trent, after he heard the track and after he heard the mix, he was like, "Man, I didn't think he was going to keep those glitches, those mistakes." And I was like, "Man, nah, that's probably the
That's the
best part." I didn't
beauty,
talk
man.
specifically about it, but I knew you liked it
Yeah,
because
that's
of that.
beauty, bro. That
Yeah,
it was so beautiful. And again, not to talk more than you, but
yeah,
I had a beautiful time working on that track in the mix, bro.
yeah,
Ah, he came with the goods. You came with the goods. And then what was best about it? You gave me examples of what you wanted it to sound like. That's all I was talking
yeah,
about. Tonality,
yeah,
the ambiance of it, the elements within it. A lot of
yeah.
artists sing, especially R&B soul singers, they don't think about that stuff. They just want to crank out the track, kind of like a hip hop crank out track. And
Right.
obviously I know about that too from my stuff, but really though, I still like a lot of people. If you listen to it, there's a lot going on in those tracks that make them kind of timeless elements. And
Yeah,
with alone, he added those elements in, and it was because that track is supposed to be kind of a glitchy track anyway. So
right.
those little glitches he put in there, they were perfect, and I was able to tune them and EQ them just right to complement your voice first and foremost, and then balance that with all the other elements, including the Rhodes on there.
Yeah,
So tell us a little bit about that, the
yeah.
road on there.
Antoine Franklin.
Twine on keys, shout out.
Yeah, Antoine Keys. He a bad boy too. We've known each other and been friends and associates for probably almost 15, 20 years. You know,
Mhm.
he played the keys at my wedding. Uh,
Okay.
when I sang to my wife, when I sang her down the aisle. So we have a long history, and me and him have a really good, easy going working relationship. Me and him can get in the studio right now and make
Right.
up a song in 5 minutes. We just got to get
That's
the
what's
time.
up.
So
It's it,
I always trusted him. I don't have to give him any direction or anything.
mhm,
He added a little bit of some things that I initially was like, yeah, I don't know, because he added like a flute, almost like
mhm.
a sound in the back. But I knew with you mixing it, you were going to tuck that in.
Yeah.
You're going to tuck it in and keep some of it, and cut off some of it just to
Yeah.
make it make sense and flow. So
Yeah.
yeah, super
The
producer is as well, just like you and Trent, just super
yeah.
producer. Everybody's a producer. So
That then we got top-notch people on this project,
yeah,
and that's really what I want people to understand is this beautiful record was put together, over a period of time over what was it, 2, 3 months.
yeah,
And that's okay because look how it came out.
yeah,
And you got yourself, Trent, me, Antoine. The it's like I said to my wife, it's like a perfect storm
yeah,
of
yeah,
how it came out. And
yeah,
and I think that with those elements, when people really soak into this, it's like I think when I sent it to somebody, they said it's like floating on a bed of clouds.
that's what I
It's,
wanted.
so yeah.
That's what I
So
want.
yeah, I was putting some feelers out there, getting everybody ready for it. And that was one of the quotes on there. You already kind of discussed kind of the feeling and what you want people to get from Alone.
Mhm.
Um, let's see, as far as your style, would you say this song is a little bit different than the other songs you put out? So how would
Yeah.
you compare Alone to, say, for example, Violets or Cruising?
Violence and Cruising, great songs as well. I use some of the same team to put those together. I think some of the differences, even in the approach, I think this song is a little more contemporary, a
Hmm.
little bit more modern.
Yeah.
Uh, that's the first thing. I think Violence and Cruising are more nostalgic. When I say I got more of my inspiration from 70s soul.
Hmm.
And I want to show people more that I'm ambidextrous.
Right.
If you catch my
I
drift,
understand what you're saying.
I can do it all. So I can even do pop records, and I don't even have those out yet. So
We
it's
got
just
some
like
we got some pop records we working on for you, man. All right.
pop records, yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir. So just like even like you know, I like it all. I like all forms of music, but it's very different. It really all what the song asks for and what the emotion asks for is what I need.
Mhm.
And what I'm going to make it into be. I'm influenced by all kinds of genres, but I would say that Alone is way more contemporary. The feedback that
Mhm.
I've gotten from it personally
Right.
is, man, when is this coming out? Man, what is that? Man, this sounds crazy. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it. And then people actually hearing it now, it just solidifies it. I think it's going. I think it's we're just at the precipice of it getting out, but
Right.
it's different, man. It's different.
It's a definitely different record for you from what I've heard so far. But I think your audience is up for the challenge.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think this shows your, as you put it, ambidextrous
Yeah.
activities out here. I think you can still keep, what I like to say, kind of like a Donny Hathaway old school soul vibe, and those great artists in that era. But this one will kind of put you in the playing field with some of the artists right now that we mentioned earlier, like a Lucky
Yeah.
Air, somebody, those guys, where it's still soulful, but it is still contemporary, kind of blended, and they're all
Yeah.
kind of doing it in a beautiful way, especially Alex Isley and what's the guy she works with? Something Van Dyne or something like that.
Jack Don. Jack
Yeah,
Don.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
dope. But I think
I
that
think
go
I
ahead.
think that says. Sorry to cut you off. I think that says that is what I am. So
Hmm.
June is more the new contemporary. O is the O. So I'm a combination of both. That's my whole approach to this thing. So
Say
no
that one
matter
more time. Say that one more time for the people. Break that
so
down.
June is more the contemporary. O is like more the older style. So I want to merge the two. Like, wait till y'all hear some of these. Not to get away from Alone, but wait till y'all hear some of the production on some of these other tracks, which I'm gonna get you
Talk
involved with.
about it. Talk about it. Talk
It's
about it.
gonna be. It's gonna be. It's just think of some of the drums and stuff you used to hear in early 2000s, but also with a mix of the old feel and people really singing on it. Somebody with
Right,
a little
right, right.
grit in their throat actually singing on these tracks
Yeah.
with the contemporary style. So that is the merger. Bell bottom pants with the flare out, with the old school caddy bumping some Young Jeezy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what the combination of it
Okay.
is. That's what I'm bringing. So all the music will have different aspects of those things.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Now, over the last year, you've been doing some performing in the Midwest area. How's that been going for you as far as like audience reception and stuff like that?
Oh, it's been pretty solid. I've done a lot of stuff here in the Midwest. Looking to expand, but the audience is, I think, uh, they are very intrigued by what they hear because it's
Hmm.
different. I'll
Right.
do I'll do a Brian McKnight song. People ain't doing Brian McKnight covers out here. I
Not
do
not
a Brian.
not recently.
Nah, it's because not trying to toot my own horn, but some people can't do it. So I'll do a Brian McKnight cover, and then we'll switch to a Dwelle.
Okay.
Then we'll switch to a original Old June, which is I'll take you
Hmm.
to a Marvin Gaye 60s, 70s kind of a vibe. So
Right.
that is what I want to do. I want to take people on an experience. Raphael Sadiq, you'll get a Raphael Sadiq, and then you'll get
Right.
a D'Angelo. I want people to really get an experience of some of their favorite songs. I don't really like doing all of the hottest songs out as far as covers when I do covers. That's
Hmm.
part of the game too. You got
Right.
to do a mix of your originals and covers. I like to do some of those album cuts that
The
you
deep cut.
love, but they
Yeah.
never put out.
Never. Right.
I
That
want
never
to do
came
that
out
too.
as the number one single. Yeah.
Yeah. Number one
Yeah.
thing, but it's an album cut. But you know what it is. You know what it is when you
Yeah.
hear it.
Something that I also really like at your live performances is when you do kind of like not necessarily call and response, but you have the people pick out stuff. You kind of do an R&B freestyle joint,
Correct.
like if the MC wanted to freestyle and he tell the people to spit on some words. Oh, June does it R&B style, soulful
Right.
style. Tell us a
Right.
little bit about that because I get a
Um.
kick out of that personally.
So
So I
like
know that,
one of
and that people love it when I see them
yeah,
when I see you do it.
yeah, they do like it. They do like it a lot. I've seen some other people do it before, but it one of my major superpower probably is writing.
Hmm.
Writing comes fairly easy to me,
Hmm.
and I'm very witty. So I ask the audience to give me 3 words, and
Right.
then I ask my band to play a smooth track or even something fast or up tempo, and I will make
Mhm.
up a song using all 3 of those words, a different topic, anything. So that's one of the highlights. I usually try to do it 2 or 3 times in the show, and it also creates a place for the audience to vibe out with you, to get involved,
Right.
and have fun. So that is where that comes from.
My bad. Yeah. Okay. So also, when you are on stage, does that anyway reflect your writing?
It does. It does. I don't like to overthink when it comes to the writing.
Hmm.
Uh, I like to live in the moment. I like to what exactly I'm feeling right there. I don't want to overthink it because when you overthink, you mess it up.
Right.
Uh, it's been a lot of people that I've studied, writers, great writers. I think her name is Linda Perry. I can't think of the name.
Linda
Maybe
Perry. Yeah.
yeah, Linda Perry.
Huge
One of
writer.
the greatest things that I learned from her is that when you just the first thing that comes to your head when you're in there, you hear the track. That's what the song is. You don't need to
Yes.
overthink it. That's
Yes.
where it is. Living in that moment, living in
Yep.
that minute where you were really thinking, really having fun, and something was fresh on your mind. That is it. Um,
That's true. And also that part of songwriting, also that's what you were saying earlier. That's kind of how that first verse just flows
yeah.
because you're in that moment. And then
Yeah,
after you let it breathe for a minute, then you're on the second verse trying to figure out how am I going to build this
right.
from where I began to tell this story. You got to have that arc in the
Right.
song. And of course, that's within your arrangement. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So have you ever had the situation where you were doing one of those call and responses to the freestyles on stage, and that turned into a song later for something you said on stage that you took it into a
Uh,
song?
no, because um, I probably need to get some video of it because some of them are pretty. All of them are pretty dope, but sometimes it just leaves as soon as it comes.
Okay.
You know, it's
The
not
streaming
something.
consciousness.
Yeah,
That's how the
I
stage is, though. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because I
yeah.
really don't. I really like it that way because I don't want to. I don't want to ever get stuck and repeat the same thing that I
Gotcha.
did another show. I want each show to be a different experience.
Right.
So it kind of leaves. I probably should do some recording of those and maybe take them back. I know Ray Charles used to do that a lot. He
I
used to
worked
make
with
stuff.
yeah, I worked with I'm sorry to interrupt. I worked with some bands and musicians in Miami where we used to record all of the rehearsal sessions. And a lot
Mm,
of those rehearsal sessions turned into songs.
yeah,
Just because like you're saying you had all the guys working on this song, just like with everybody in the same room, the
yeah.
whole band in the same room, and I recorded the whole sessions. And a lot of those sessions in between the rehearsed songs became songs.
Oh
So
wow, yeah.
that was an interesting experience for me in terms of stuff like that. What do you
Because getting
think?
all these musicians in the same room is hard anyway.
It
Um,
is hard.
yeah,
It
but
is hard.
I definitely think I need to do that a little bit more. I've thought about it. I've had some sessions.
Mhm.
I think I may have had some. If I think about rehearsals it may be a little bit different. But I just haven't put the songs out. But maybe I
Mhm.
need to finish those. Yeah.
Kind of maybe some stuff, everything ain't meant to be put out, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe some stuff is just cathartic cleansing.
Right, right, right. For
At
sure.
least that's how I find stuff. And then also what I got here for you. Like tell me in your personal experience for you so far, what's been the most rewarding part of your journey in music in the last few years?
I think the most rewarding part for me is I'm a different kind of cat, man.
Hmm.
Uh, I naturally know that I'm a different kind of cat. I got some quirks, and as everybody does, but I think putting this music out, not like I need confirmation from other people, but makes me feel like it's okay just to be yourself. And I'm
Yeah,
really pushing that
yeah,
across with everything and everybody I know. It's like it's all right to just be you.
right.
It's all right to talk to how you talk, sing the way you talk. Your voice is your voice. Your tone is your tone.
Amen.
You know, not trying to be like anybody else. I think that's the most rewarding part is that I'm finding confidence in extreme love, not in a arrogant way, but in a
Hmm.
fulfilling way of me just being happy, being Julian, June. You
Right.
know,
So
being
so
myself.
you feel like you're finally starting to feel that appreciation for being yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And that's almost like I should have been doing it earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
I mean, you
okay.
know what? From an
Early.
outsider looking in, you don't, I mean, even in terms of not as you say, going too deep behind the scenes of what stuff we're doing, but it's almost like um you have your own style. Your own style is
Yeah,
individuality. And that's something that people have said to me about all of us that's working at Power Blast. Is like everybody is an individual. There's
yeah,
no carbon copy of any other artist
yeah,
that's circulating in the mix.
yeah,
And with you, I like that because you come across as as an everyday man. You know what I'm saying? Like even when you show up to perform, you're fashionable, but you're not trying to follow the trends.
right. Oh
So
no.
you have your own sense of style. I appreciate that part of you, and I think that is what's resonating with the people for you. And then also in terms of you're not an auto tune guy. It's your natural voice,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's going to resonate with the people in the long run. What do you think? Because we're running out a little bit of time here, but what do you think in closing? Overall, the state of R&B music currently.
I think the state of R&B is ever changing. I think it is growing, and we are getting a lot of different genres.
Mm,
Not genres, but different styles of performer, and different. I think the label of R&B is bleeding onto
mhm.
different genres. You know, country and all kind of stuff. The state of R&B is in a very creative state right now. I think people got tired of where it was, and I think it's going to get back. It's getting back to people that actually have the real deal. They're either
Yeah.
going to be multi instrumentalists, writers, singers. But I think the fluff era of R&B is getting away. You gotta have a little bit of skill to be able to do R&B. People want to really see somebody that's talented. And I think those that I'm seeing that are excelling are those ones. But
Yes.
also, you got to have a little bit of swag too. You got to have a little bit of fun, and you got to have. I think people like real topics, and I think people like real something that they can think about and something they can feel.
That they
But
can
also, they
reflect
want
on.
to dance too. Yeah, yeah,
Reflect on from personal experience or an experience that they've witnessed.
for sure.
It
For sure.
resonates with people. And that's one thing I appreciate as a listener for your music. You're actually talking about something in all your songs, whether it be Violets, I Tried, fantastic record, short record, but that record is the one. That record never stops. I Tried,
Yeah.
record. All your records from Perfect Recipe, Water. You're talking about some real stuff, man. I think the people appreciate that. I think the people want that. And I think you're the guy to give it to them.
For sure. I think it's just the beginning. I have a lot of things that I have coming up, different adventures I got to go on to continue to push this music out. So I'm excited to bring more and more music, but I cannot wait. Um, Alone is out, Alone is cranking, Alone is different, Alone is something everybody's really going to appreciate. So I'm really excited about it.
100%. Everybody, this is Old June. You can check him out at Old June Music on Instagram and socials. I will put his links in the title of this video on YouTube, and it'll also appear as a tag in the podcast on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, and Apple. Old June, putting the soul back in R&B music. Thank you for joining us on Music Therapy and Motivation, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Old June coming to a city near you.
Amen. All right, brother. Thank you.